On the bus heading to the college entrance exam venue, Swan once suddenly clutched her chest and began to cry. I'm so nervous. I can't breathe. Can we not go to the exam venue first? The moment she started crying, the entire class panicked. The class monitor Goose immediately told the driver to pull over and carried her in his arms, ready to rush to the nearest hospital. But there were only 40 minutes left before the exam. It was the same in my previous life. I rushed over to stop them. I pulled out the emergency certificate template she had prepared in advance from the hidden pocket of her backpack. I exposed her faking illness in front of the whole class. In the end, the driver restarted the car, and we made it to the exam venue. Just in time. However, Swan was reported by the school for faking illness and had her outstanding graduate qualification revoked. On the day of the teacher appreciation banquet, Gay tricked me onto the rooftop. His gaze as cold as a knife. W1 is just afraid of exams. She just wants us to keep her company. Why did you have to expose her in public, letting everyone laugh at her? Before I could explain, he pushed me off the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the bus. Swan's eyes were red as she gently tugged at Guzui's sleeve. I feel so terrible. Am I going to die? Gay immediately stood up and shouted to the driver, stop the car. Take one to the hospital first. The whole class turned to look at me. After all, in my past life, I was the first one to speak up and say we couldn't stop. I slowly put on my earphones and smiled. Stop the car. She's almost dying. What does an exam matter anyway? My admission letter is already at home this time. 1 at 18. I was consistently ranked first in my grade in class 1 of senior 3 at our school. People like me aren't very well liked. Because I don't talk much, can't act coy, and can't pretend to be cute in front of teachers, nor do I lead the whole class in singing for a classmate's birthday. All I can do is solve problems, rank first, and win competition awards. So people say I'm cold, say I'm utilitarian, say I have no human touch. But soon one was different. Her grades were below average. Yet, she was the class's favorite. During morning reading, she would secretly hand out candy to everyone and stick little stickers on Gui's water bottle. And when the teacher scolded her for not finishing her homework, she would say, with red-rimmed eyes, "Teacher, I really tried my best last night, but I'm just too stupid." The teacher would stop scolding her. The boys were even more reluctant to scold, especially Goose. Gay is the class monitor of our class, and also my childhood friend. Our families live in the same neighborhood, and we have been in the same school from elementary to high school. When he was young, his mother always said, Lin Tang will definitely achieve great things in the future. Gay, you should learn more from Lin Tang. Gay used to really enjoy following me around until the second year of high school. When Swan 1 transferred to our class, she scored 36 on her first monthly math exam and cried at her desk. Gu spent the entire evening study session explaining problems to her. After that, the way he looked at me changed. Before he used to say, Lin Tang, you're really amazing. Later he said, Lin Tang, not everyone is as cold-blooded as you, only caring about scores. In my past life, I didn't understand. I thought misunderstandings between friends could be explained, and that there was always a bit of trust between childhood sweethearts. It wasn't until he pushed me down the stairs that I realized some people never had a place for you in their hearts. No matter how much you explain, he will only think you're making excuses. So, in this life, I won't explain anymore. The moment the bus stopped, the driver turned back to look at us. Classmates, are you really going to the hospital? There's not much time left before the exam starts. Guess eyes were red, with anxiety. Master, let's go to the hospital first. A life is at stake. Swan 1 leaned in his arms, her face pale, tears clinging to her eyelashes. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have held everyone back. She said she shouldn't be a burden. Yet her hand clung tightly to Gui's sleeve. The girls in the front row immediately felt sorry for her. Swan 1, don't say that. Your health is the most important. Exactly. The college entrance exam happens every year. But you only have one life. Lin Tang, say something. Aren't you usually the one with the best ideas? I took off one earbud. I said it. Stop the car. 2. The entire car went silent for a second. Everyone, as if they hadn't heard clearly. Gay frowned at me. What do you mean? I smiled literally, since Swan One looked so serious. Of course. She needs to go to the hospital. Gay stared at me, probably not expecting me to be so cooperative. After all, in my past life at this moment, I would have rushed over and grabbed his arm, my voice breaking with anxiety. Gay, calm down. She's faking it. Then the whole car exploded. Swan One cried even harder. Gay called me cold-blooded. I had no choice but to pull out the evidence in front of everyone at that time. I thought I was saving everyone, but in the end, no one thanked me. They only remember how pitifully Swan One cried. Only remember that I made her lose face. They only remember that if I hadn't exposed her, she wouldn't have been reported, wouldn't have failed the exam, and wouldn't have gotten into trouble in this life. I will grant their wishes. The driver hesitated, but the school GUE said, I'll take responsibility if anything happens. I raised my phone and aimed the camera at him. Class monitor. Say that again. Guest's face darkened. Lintang, what are you filming? My tone was flat. Keep the evidence. You said you'd take responsibility so the driver can explain himself. And the school can explain itself, too. Gyuda's teeth. Are you crazy? Is this the time to argue about responsibility? I looked at him. Right. The exam transport car suddenly changed its route. If we're not arguing about responsibility, are we arguing about feelings? Someone in the back row was displeased. Lintang, stop being sarcastic. Swan One is already like this. And you're still filming. Of course. You don't care. With your good grades, we still have exams to take. I nodded. Then you can choose to keep going to the exam hall. The car fell silent again. I raised my phone a little higher. Now there are two options. First, take Swan 11 to the hospital. Second, first take most people to the exam venue, and then have a teacher or an ambulance handle Swan One. I looked at Gay class monitor. You choose. Gay hugged Swan One tightly. I choose the hospital. I said, okay, is this your personal choice, or does it represent the whole class's choice? 3. Gay was stumped by my question. Suwon sobbed softly. Lintang, don't pushes anymore. He's just worried about me. I looked at her. I'm not pushing him. I'm just asking him to speak clearly. Her eyes reened. Are you blaming me for holding everyone back on the exam? I smiled. Not at all. You're practically dying. How could I dare to blame you? Swan's sobs hitched for a moment. Guest snapped angrily. Lintang. I stopped smiling. What are you yelling for? Isn't she feeling tight in the chest? And can TT breathe? Yelling so loudly. Aren't you afraid of scaring her? Someone in the car couldn't help but let out a laugh. Guess's face turned even uglier. At that moment, the grade director, who was riding in the car, finally squeezed over. He had been sitting in the front row, making calls to contact the exam center. And his face turned pale when he heard us arguing. What's going on? Who wants to change the route to the hospital? Buzz immediately said, Teacher Suwon is feeling unwell. And it's serious. The director looked at Suwon One. Where do you feel uncomfortable? Swan One clutched her chest. Her voice is faint as if it could break at any moment. My chest feels tight. I can't breathe. And my hands are numb. After all, the director was a teacher and didn't dare to take a student's health lightly. He immediately called 120 and told the driver to pull over. But he didn't take the entire bus to the hospital. He said, the other students will go to the exam venue in the original bus. Swan One will be accompanied by me to wait for the ambulance. Gay immediately objected. No, I'm not comfortable leaving Swan One alone. The director frowned. I'll stay with her. She won't be alone. Swan One gently tugged at Gui's sleeve. A's. I'm scared. Guess's heart softened immediately. Teacher, I'll stay too. The director looked at him. Guess think carefully. If you stay, you might miss the first exam. Guess said, without hesitation. I've made up my mind. After saying that, he glanced at me as if waiting for me to stop him. I leaned back in my chair and put my earphones back on. Why would I stop him? Respect others' destinies. Let go of the urge to help. This is the first lesson I learned after dying once. for the driver restarted the car. Just as the car door was about to close, Swan 1 suddenly looked up at me. Her gaze was strange. There was grievance, reluctance, and a hint of panic. In my past life, I exposed her on the spot, so all the mess afterward fell on me in this life. I didn't expose her, and instead she panicked, because what she originally wanted was not to miss the college entrance exam, but to have everyone revolve around her. She wanted Goose to feel sorry for her, and she wanted the whole class to say Juan is so pitiful. Well, stay with you. The best case scenario would be for me to step up and play the villain. I coldly said that parking was not allowed, and forcibly sent her into the exam hall. Then she could cry, act aggrieved, and after the exam accused me of being heartless. But I insisted on stopping the car, and I even let Gay choose for himself. Her act of pretending to be sick suddenly became a real consequence. The car door closed. I saw through the window that Gay was supporting Suanyuan by the roadside, while the director was holding his phone, sweating profusely. With anxiety, the bus continued driving toward the exam venue. The atmosphere inside the car was strange. Someone whispered, "Is Gay really not taking the exam? We should still make it in time. Once the ambulance arrives and checks on her, if she's fine, we'll take a taxi to the exam venue. But there's a traffic jam right now. Swan 1 isn't really in trouble, is she?" The girl in the front row, who had just scolded me, turned around and looked at me. "Lin Tang, did you know this was going to happen all along?" I looked up. "Know what?" She choked for a moment. "You weren't the least bit anxious just now." I asked, "What should I be anxious about? Everyone has the college entrance exam to take." I said, "That's why I let you choose. Didn't you decide not to get off?" Her face turned pale. The guy beside me muttered, "True. Goose chose to stay himself." The bus soon arrived at the exam venue. Our class was 10 minutes later than expected, but we weren't late yet. When we got off the bus, the director wasn't there, and the teacher in charge had been replaced by the teacher from the neighboring class. While urging us to line up, she asked where Ran and Gay. No one spoke. I didn't say anything either. Before the exam bell rang, I took my seat in the examination hall. When the test papers were handed out, I looked at the familiar questions with steady hands. 5. In my past life, I also did really well on the exam, but my life stopped in the summer of my 18th year. This time, I'm going to outlive them all after the first subject, Chinese, ended. The class was already in an uproar as I walked out of the exam hall. Gay didn't make it, and Sumu 1 didn't either. Her so-called chest tightness after being taken to the hospital by ambulance was found to be nothing serious. The doctor said it might have been caused by excessive nervousness, or perhaps by sucking on a stimulating candy that led to temporary discomfort. As for the emergency certificate template that fell out of the hidden pocket in her school bag, it was dropped when the nurse was helping her retrieve her ID card. The date above was even filled in advance. Indiana, the class group chat. The head teacher sent a message. "Su Ruan's condition is currently not serious. Please focus on your exams, and do not spread unconfirmed information." No one dared to reply below, but private chats were already buzzing. Someone sent me a photo of the hospital. In the photo, Swan 1 was sitting in the emergency chair, her face no longer pale, but instead filled with utter despair. "Goo." Zay stood beside her, clutching the admission ticket, his eyes red. He must have finally realized he wouldn't make it in time. Scoring 0 in the first subject. Chinese is almost the end for anyone taking the college entrance exam normally. At noon, Gay called me over a dozen times, but I didn't answer a single one. He also sent me a WeChat message. "Lin Tang, are you doing this on purpose? You clearly knew Swan 1 might be nervous. So why didn't you stop me? Weren't you the most rational one before? Why didn't you remind me?" I laughed out loud at the messages on my phone. So, this is Gui's logic. If I stop him, I'm meddling. If I don't stop him, I'm deliberately causing harm. He is never wrong. The ones who are wrong are those who don't act according to his wishes. I replied to him, "Didn't you say human life is important?" He quickly responded, "Stop being so sarcastic. Lin Tang, I didn't expect you to be this ruthless. You know exactly how important the college entrance exam is to me." I typed, "I do know. That's why I recorded the whole thing." You said it yourself. You thought it through. Gay fell silent on the other end. After a long while, he finally sent a message. Did you record the video? Just to harm me? I replied. It was to protect the driver, the teacher, and myself. As soon as I sent it, I immediately blocked him in the afternoon math exam. I finished quickly. It's not because the exam was easy, but because my heart has finally found peace. No one can push me off the 18th floor again, and no one can force me to take responsibility for their lives anymore. 6. After the 2 days of the college entrance exam ended, the situation completely blew up. Swan's parents rushed to the school first. Her mother sat crying at the entrance of the principal's office, slapping her thigh and shouting, "My daughter was just too nervous. She's still a child. Why can't the school apply for a makeup exam for her?" The principal's face turned ashen. The college entrance exam is not organized by the school. There is no such thing as a makeup exam. Suanyuan's father pointed at the grade director and scolded. Then why didn't you notice she was unwell earlier? Why wasn't a doctor arranged to accompany the bus? Why did you make my daughter miss the exam? The director was so angry that his hands trembled. As soon as I noticed she was unwell, I called 120 immediately. There were over 40 other examinees on the bus. I couldn't let all of them go to the hospital with her. Sue's mother cried even louder. What about Gay? Gay missed it, too. You've ruined 2 children. Guest parents had also arrived. Gu's mother usually cared most about saving face, but this time her eyes were swollen. As soon as she entered the office, she asked Gus, "What exactly is going on? Why didn't you go take the exam?" Gay kept his head down and said nothing. Soo-won sat in the corner crying. "It's all my fault. I'm the one to blame. Auntie, don't blame Ae. He was just worried about me." Upon hearing this, Mother Gu's expression turned even darker. She used to like Swan W12, finding the little girl sweet-tongued, sensible, and adorable. But now that her son had scored 0 in Chinese, no amount of cuteness mattered anymore. Mother Gu asked Soo-won coldly, "Since you know you'll drag him down, why won't you let him go?" Suanyuan's face turned pale upon hearing this. Gay immediately stepped in front of her. "Mom, don't talk about Wan like that." Gu's mother let out a bitter laugh. "If I don't talk about her, who should I talk about? You. You're 18, not 8. On the day of the college entrance exam, when someone else felt chest tightness, there were teachers and an ambulance, but you insisted on staying. What kind of hero are you trying to be?" Gay's eyes reened. "I couldn't just leave her." Their mother slapped him across the face with a sharp crack. The entire office fell silent. "Then don't take the exam." Soo-won flinched in fright. When the principal called me over, I was tidying up my books in the classroom and knew they would come looking for me, because Gay would definitely shift the blame onto me. Sure enough, as soon as I entered the office, Gay looked up at me. That gaze was exactly the same as the one on the rooftop in my past life. Dark, resentful, as if I owed him a life. "Lintang, how dare you say you didn't do that on purpose?" I stood at the door. "What did I do on purpose?" Gay gritted his teeth. "You knew perfectly well that Soo-won was just nervous, not actually dying of illness. Why didn't you stop me?" 7. I looked at him and suddenly found it absurd. In my past life, he asked me, "Why do you have to meddle in this life?" He asks me, "Why don't you care?" I said, "Guz, do you even hear what you're saying?" Gay angrily rushed over trying to grab me. The principal immediately slammed the table. "Guz, calm down." I stepped aside and placed my phone on the table. "I have a video here." Hearing this, everyone in the office turned to look at me. I clicked on the video from the day of the college entrance exam. In the footage, Swan-won was crying, saying she couldn't breathe. Gu stood up and shouted for the driver to stop. The driver reminded them that there wasn't much time left before the exam started. Guest said, "If something goes wrong, I'll take responsibility." I asked, "Is this your personal choice, or does it represent the whole class's choice?" Guest said, "I choose the hospital." The director reminded Gay, "If you stay, you might miss the first exam." Guest said, "I've made up my mind." The video ended, and no one spoke. Gu's mother watched as Gay's face gradually turned ashen. Sue's father and mother also lost their earlier momentum. I put away my phone. This is the truth. But stared at me intently. Why did you record it? I replied, because I'm afraid of death. As soon as those words left my mouth, everyone in the office was stunned. I didn't explain. I am indeed afraid of death. Those who have died once know best how important it is to be alive. Gay, however, seemed provoked. What are you playing the victim for? No one wants your life. I smiled. Is that so? Of course. He wouldn't understand. I don't need him to understand either. I looked at the principal. I'll cooperate with the school's investigation. I can provide the video to the teachers, but I won't accept anyone shifting the blame for Gay and Soo-won missing the exam onto me. The principal nodded. Of course. Swan suddenly stood up crying. Lin-tang, I know you hate me, but you can't do this. I looked at her. What's wrong with me? Her tears fell quickly. You could have reminded me. You could have reminded Ace too. You're so good at your studies. You're so smart. You must have seen that I was just too scared. I asked. So what? She choked out. So why did you watch us miss the exam? I said calmly, because I'm not your mother. Someone in the office couldn't help but cough. Sue. Wan's face turned completely red. I continued. Your fear of exams is your business. Your faking illness is your business. Guess willingness to accompany you is his business. Reminding you is a kindness. Not reminding you is my right. Swan, don't get so used to using others as stepping stones that you actually believe the whole world owes you. Her face turned pale, and she couldn't utter a single word. Gay shouted angrily. Lin-tang. I turned to look at him. And you're the last one who has the right to blame me. You're the class monitor. With over 40 classmates on the bus, the first thing on your mind wasn't how to ensure most of them made it to the exam on time, but to play the devoted lover. With Swan, the teacher warned you. The driver warned you. And I also asked if you wanted to think it through. You chose this path yourself now that it hurts. You blame me for not dragging you back. Gay's face turned pale for my words. Gwither suddenly covered her face and cried, her sobs muffled and restrained. She wasn't feeling sorry for Swan. She had finally realized that her son, whom she had always been proud of, had destroyed himself on the most important day of his life. 8. The school finally issued its decision. Swan's act of pretending to be sick on the day of the college entrance exam was recorded as a disciplinary violation, and her original application for outstanding graduate was also revoked. Gus, as the class monitor, lost control of his emotions while escorting students to the exam, arbitrarily demanding a change of route for the vehicle, causing a negative impact. As a result, his qualifications for outstanding class cadre and student representative at the graduation ceremony were also revoked. But none of these were the most critical issue. The most critical issue was their college entrance exam scores. Gay missed the Chinese exam, causing his total score to plummet sharply. Soo-won was the same. Her grades were average to begin with, and after missing one subject, even an ordinary vocational college was uncertain. On the day the results came out, my mom was cutting fruit in the kitchen. My phone buzzed once. I opened the score-checking page, and my score was very high, so high that even without a recommendation, I could still get into the top-tier schools. My mom looked at the screen, and her eyes suddenly reened. Lin-tang, you really made us proud. I hugged her. At this time in my past life, she had been just as happy later. When she received the news of my fall from the building, she fainted on the spot. My father's hair turned gray overnight. They only had me, their one and only daughter. After I died, they went to Gay to demand an explanation, but Gay said I fell by accident. Swan cried and said, Uncle and Auntie, please don't blame Ae. He's suffering too. Back then, everyone said Lin-tang is already dead. The living must continue with their lives in this life. I will make them taste what it's like to be hounded for debts by the living. After the results came out, someone in the class group chat posted their scores. At first, the atmosphere was still normal until someone asked, Has the class monitor checked? The group chat instantly fell silent. After a few minutes, Goose posted a screenshot of the grades. probably trying to appear open and honest. But once the screenshot was out, everyone went quiet. Chinese 0. His total score was over 100 points lower than usual based on his original grades. He could have at least gotten into a key university. Now he can only go to an ordinary private undergraduate college, with expensive tuition, and a poor major. Swan 1 did not share her scores, but someone heard from the teacher that her total score was ridiculously low. That evening, Swan 1 posted a moment on WeChat. If I could live my life over again, I would never be so timid. I'm sorry to everyone I've affected. The accompanying image is a photo of an for drip in a hospital. Many people below were comforting her. Don't be sad. 1-1. It wasn't your fault. Health is the most important thing. I'll retake the exam next year. 9. After reading it, I directly posted a picture in the class group chat. It was a hospital checkup report, with the diagnosis showing no significant abnormalities. And that photo of the emergency certificate template, I didn't add any text to it. The group chat exploded. What is this? An emergency certificate template? The date is already filled in advance. So, she had already planned to fake illness. No way. Then we almost missed the exam. Because of her. Is Gay stupid? Swan 1 immediately sent me a private message. Lin Tang, why did you do that? I'm already miserable enough. Do you have to push me to the brink? I replied, isn't this something you prepared yourself? She sent a string of crying emojis. I'm just afraid of exams. I didn't mean to harm anyone. I typed, you didn't mean to harm anyone. You just wanted others to pay for your fear. She didn't reply. Not long after, Gay called. I answered. His voice was hoarse. Lin Tang, delete it. Delete what? The photos in the group chat. Why? He took a deep breath. Swan 1 is emotionally unstable right now. Do you have to push her to the brink? I laughed. Gay, have you forgotten? It was you who accompanied her when she missed the exam. Not me. You know she didn't mean it. I don't know. Lin Tang. He started calling me in that tone again, as if I were still the person from my past life, who would soften over years of shared history. I cut him off. Gay, do you hate me a lot right now? The other end of the line went silent. I continued. Hate me for not stopping you. Hate me for recording the video. Hate me for exposing the truth. But have you ever thought that, without this evidence, the one being cursed by your entire family right now would be me? Buzz's breathing grew heavier. I won't let them curse you. I almost let out a laugh. You will. In my past life. You didn't. Just let them curse me. You killed me. Gay suppressed his anger. Lin Tang, you've changed. I said. Yeah. Anyone would change after being pushed down a flight of stairs once. Gay froze. What did you say? I hung up the phone. No need to scare him now, because the best is yet to come. 10. I went to the appreciation banquet for the teacher that day. In my past life, I died on that very day. That's why in this life, I deliberately wore a pair of comfortable walking shoes and brought a voice recorder and a personal safety alarm. My parents were worried, so they personally escorted me to the hotel lobby. My mom held my hand and said, if you feel uncomfortable, just come out early. Don't push yourself. I nodded. Mom, I understand. I didn't tell them about my past life. No one would believe such words if I said them. They would only worry that I'm under too much pressure. But I will protect myself. The banquet hall was very lively. Those who did well in the exam were in high spirits, while those who did poorly forced a smile. Goose sat in the corner. In just a few days, he seemed like a different person. He used to be always clean and presentable, even zipping his school uniform just right. Now his hair was a mess, and his eyes were bloodshot. Swan 1 sat beside him, her eyes red. As soon as she saw me, she lowered her head. A few girls, who had been gathered around her talking, stopped. When they saw me come in, I found a seat by the door and sat down. The homeroom teacher came over to offer a toast, sighed as he looked at me. Lin Tang, you have a bright future ahead. Don't let these things affect you. I said. I won't. Thank you, teacher. The homeroom teacher nodded. That's good. Halfway through the banquet, Gual, with a glass in hand, the glass held juice, but he looked as if he were drunk. Lin Tang, let's talk. I looked up. Let's talk right here. He lowered his voice. Do you have to be so guarded against me? I looked at him. You're worth guarding against. Gwei's face stiffened. He gripped his cup tightly and said after a few seconds, My mom wants me to repeat the year. My tone was flat. That's fine. Swan is also repeating the year. I wish you success. He stared at me. Don't you have anything else to say to me? I thought for a moment. I do. A flicker of expectation passed through his eyes. I said, Don't bother me again. Buzz's face completely darkened. Lintang, we've known each other for over a decade. So what? So you're really going to turn us into enemies over this? I laughed. Gay. You were the one who treated me like an enemy first. He frowned. When did I? On the day of the college entrance exam. You chose to stay on your own, and your first reaction afterward was to ask me why I didn't stop you. When the results came out, instead of reflecting on yourself, you made me delete the evidence. You're not standing here to apologize. You want me to give you an out? I looked at him. You're not sorry for hurting me. You're just sorry. I won't clean up your messes anymore. Guest turned extremely grim. You're really harsh. With your words now. I nodded. You'll get used to it. 11, he wanted to say more. But Swan had already walked over. Her eyes glistened with tears, her voice soft yet loud enough for those nearby to hear. Lintang, don't blame Ace. Here it comes. It was the same in the past life. She never directly solves problems. She only places herself in the position of a victim, letting others fight her battles. Su-1 choked up and said, I've really been in pain during this time. I know you hate me, but I never intended to harm you. I asked, What did you do to harm me? She was taken aback. I looked around. Be more specific. Are you saying that preparing an emergency medical certificate template in advance to fake illness on the day of the college entrance exam is what harmed me? The surroundings fell silent instantly. Suanyuan's face turned pale. That's not what I meant. I continued to ask. Then what did you mean? I just wanted to apologize to you. I said, Fine. Go ahead. Tears fell from her eyes. I'm sorry. I waited a few seconds. That's it. She bit her lip. What else do you want? I said, An apology should be clear. Why are you apologizing? What did you do wrong? And how will you change in the future? Didn't your elementary school teacher teach you that? Someone beside me lowered their head, holding back a laugh. Su-Wan's face flushed red, and then turned pale. Gay couldn't hold back anymore. Lintang, don't go too far. I picked up my phone. Want me to start a live stream? Let everyone judge. Who's going too far? Guest changed. What he feared most now was evidence. Swan was also afraid. She wiped her tears, her voice trembling. I was wrong. I shouldn't have pretended to be sick. Just because I was afraid of the exam. Shouldn't have made everyone worry. Shouldn't have affected I reminded her. What else? She gritted her teeth. I shouldn't have prepared the emergency certificate in advance. And what else? She finally couldn't cry anymore. Lintang, what exactly do you want me to say? I stood up and looked at her. Say that you knew from the very beginning that you wouldn't be in any danger. Say you know Gay will definitely stay for you. Say you enjoy having people revolve around you. Say that if the whole class hadn't entered the exam room that day, you would have cried and claimed it wasn't intentional. Swan, one trembled all over. No, it's not like that. 12. I took out my phone and opened a recording. This was a recording of her talking to her best friend in the restroom the day before her college entrance exam. In my past life, I never used it. In this life, I've kept it until now. In the recording, Swan's voice was crystal clear. I really don't want to take the exam anymore. I won't do well anyway. If I feel unwell on the day of the exam, Gay will definitely stay with me. Lintang will probably pretend to be sober and scold me again, and then everyone will think she's cold-hearted. I hope the bus is late. After all, the law can't punish the majority. Right? The school can't. Just let our whole class have no education. Can it? When the recording finished, the banquet hall fell into a deathly silence. All the color drained from Su-Wan's face. Gay froze as well, slowly turning to look at Swan-1. Is this true? Swan-1 frantically shook her head. No. A's. Listen to me explain. I was just speaking casually at the time. I didn't think it would actually. Guess eyes gradually turned red this time. It wasn't heartache. It was fury to the extreme. You said Lin Tang would pretend to be sober and scold you. You said I would definitely stay with you. What do you take me for? Su Wanwan cried and reached for his hand. I didn't mean that. I was just too scared. Gay shook her off using a lot of force. Swanwan lost her balance and crashed into a chair, crying out in pain. In the past, the whole class would have already gathered around her by now. But this time, no one moved. Someone said coldly, "So, we almost all died along with you. Swan, you're disgusting. And here, I was comforting you." Goo. Letting his love-blind brain take over, harming others, and himself. His face turned even paler upon hearing the last sentence. He looked at me, and for the first time there was panic in his eyes. "Lin Tang, why didn't you produce this recording earlier?" I said calmly. "If I had produced it earlier, would you have believed me?" He opened his mouth, but said nothing, because the answer was obvious. He wouldn't believe it in my past life. I took out the mint candies, the template, and all the evidence. Yet, he still didn't believe me. He only thought I was making Su Wanwan feel embarrassed. In this life, I'm not in a hurry to make him believe. I'll let him fall on his own, and then make him see clearly who dug the pit beneath his feet. 13. The appreciation banquet for the teacher ended on a sour note. Su Wanwan was still crying as her parents took her away. But this time, no one felt sorry for her. Guest stood at the hotel entrance, looking as if he had been drained of all life. As I was about to leave, he called out to me, "Lin Tang." I stopped. His voice was very low. "I'm sorry." I looked at him. In my past life, I had waited for this apology until the day I died, but it never came. Yet, now that I actually heard it, it didn't mean much to me. I said, "It's okay." Guest's eyes lit up for a moment. The next second, I added, "Anyway, I won't forgive." His face turned pale again. "Lin Tang, I didn't know she was that kind of person." I said you didn't know, because you didn't want to know. Gay. What you like isn't Su Wanwan. What you like is the version of yourself that she needs. You enjoy being the hero. Enjoy her looking up and calling you A. Enjoy the whole class praising you for being gentle and responsible. So you can't see the truth, and you can't hear what others are saying. Guest's lips moved slightly. "What about us?" I almost thought I misheard. "What do you mean we?" His eyes were red. "After all these years we've known each other, do you really not care at all anymore?" Looking at him, I suddenly remembered our childhood back then. Booze wasn't always this bad from the start. He would call the teacher for me. When I was cornered by older students, he would lend me his extra pencil. On rainy days, he would tilt the umbrella toward me. That's why in my past life, I was foolish enough to believe that childhood friends always meant a little more than others. People change, and feelings can rot, too. Just throw away what's rotten. I said, "Gay. The bond of over a decade was gone the moment you pushed me away." He froze. "When did I ever push you away?" I didn't answer. In the distance, my dad's car was parked by the roadside. My mom rolled down the window and called out to me, "Lin Tang, sweetie, time to go home." I turned around and walked away. Guess wanted to chase after me, but I pressed the alarm. A sharp sound instantly rang out, and the hotel security immediately looked over. Goose froze in place, his face turning pale with embarrassment. I turned back to look at him and said, "Don't come near me." He stood still, never moving again. On the way home, my mom asked me, "Is everything settled?" I looked out the window. Halfway settled. The other half would have to be left to time. 14, Swan 1, and Gay both chose to repeat a year of school. But their life as repeat students turned out to be much harder than they had imagined. Swan 1's reputation was ruined, and the class pet filter she once had in her original class shattered completely. People used to say she was innocent. Now they say she's scheming. Before, when she cried, everyone handed her tissues. Now, when she cries, everyone takes a detour. Even in the repeat school, there are people who know about her. At first it was spread by people in our class, And later it spread further and wider. Although the version is exaggerated, the core of it is correct. On the day of the college entrance exam, she pretended to be sick, prepared an emergency medical certificate in advance, and caused the class monitor to miss the exam. Swan couldn't take it anymore and started posting on her moments again. Why can't people be allowed to make a single mistake? I've already paid the price, so why won't everyone? Just let it go. If I disappeared, would you all be satisfied? In her past life, she was the same, using the threat of disappearance to turn all responsibility into pressure on others. But this time, no one indulged her. Someone directly took a screenshot and posted it in the group chat. It's recommended to see a school counselor instead of guilt, tripping classmates on social media. Did you pay the price? Gay is the one who missed an exam, isn't he? Adults must take responsibility for their own actions. Swan was devastated. She ran to find Gay, but Gay no longer comforted her like he used to. He was under immense pressure from repeating his studies, and his mother monitored his studies almost every day. Phone confiscated, social apps uninstalled, and even picked up from school in person. Goose was never a genius. His good grades the previous year were due to a solid foundation and a stable mindset. Now it's different. Every time he works on a Chinese exam paper, he thinks of that 0 score. Every time he hears an ambulance siren, he remembers himself standing by the roadside on the day of the college entrance exam. He started suffering from insomnia and became irritable. When Swan came to him crying, he finally exploded. Can you just stop crying? Swan froze. As Gay looked at her coldly. It was because I listened to your crying before that I ended up like this. This sentence was captured on video, and the clip was shared in our old class group. Someone spoke up. Belated clarity is cheaper than grass. When I saw it, I made no comment. Whether Goose is clear-headed or not has nothing to do with me. I have started a new life on the first day of university. My parents took me to school. The campus was huge, the trees were green, and the air felt clean. Standing at the entrance of the dormitory, watching people come and go, I suddenly felt a sense of unreality. In my past life, I never had the chance to come here. Now I stand here holding the admission letter in my hand. With my loving parents by my side, I finally feel that my life has started a new 15. In the second semester of my freshman year, Goose came to see me once that day. I had just walked out of the library. He was standing at the school gate, looking much thinner. The security guard stopped him from entering. As soon as he saw me, he immediately shouted, "Lintang." I frowned. He raised his hand. "I won't come near you. I just want to say a few words." I walked over to the security guard to keep my distance. "Go ahead." Gay looked at me, his eyes bloodshot. I didn't do well on the exam. I didn't respond. He gave a bitter smile. After a year of retaking, I did even worse than last year. That's not surprising. Some pitfalls, once you fall into them, aren't something you can climb out of just by trying, especially for someone like him, who has blamed others for his failures for too long. Gay said in a low voice, "My mom told me to go to a private college. She said, the family can afford it, but I know she's disappointed. Swan didn't do well on the exam either. She later dropped out, and I heard went to another city to attend a vocational school." I said, "Did you come all the way just to tell me this?" He shook his head. He looked at me. His voice, "I want to ask you something. That day at the hotel, you said that more than a decade of feelings vanished the moment I pushed you away. When did I ever push you away?" I was silent for a few seconds. I hadn't planned on saying anything, but seeing him like this, I figured it might be better to speak up. There are some debts he ought to know about. I asked him, "Do you believe people can start over?" Gay was stunned. I said, "In the last life, on the day of the college entrance exam, I stopped you and saved the whole class. I exposed Swan's fake illness, and you all made it to the exam hall on time. Later, she was reported failed the exam and got into trouble. On the day of a teacher appreciation banquet, you tricked me into going to the rooftop. Guess gradually turned pale." I continued, "You said Su Wan was just a little girl who never grew up. You say, if I hadn't meddled, she wouldn't have turned out like that. And then you pushed me off the 18th floor." Gay took a step back. "Impossible. I looked at him. Of course. You can choose not to believe me either way in this life. You've lost your chance. His lips trembled. Lintang. I won't kill you. I smiled. That's how you saw yourself in your past life. Too. Isn't it? Gay froze completely. And I said nothing more. As I turned to enter the school gate, Gay suddenly shouted from behind. I'm sorry. His voice was loud enough to draw the attention of passers-by. Lintang. I'm sorry. I didn't look back. A belated apology doesn't serve to make the victim forgive. It reminds the perpetrator that he will always owe that debt. 16. After that, I didn't hear any news about Goose and Swan 1 for a long time. It wasn't until the old classmates' reunion in my junior year. I didn't really want to go, but the homeroom teacher was there, too, and he had always been good to me. So I went and stayed for a while. Everyone at the party had changed a lot. Some were in graduate school, some were interning, and some had already started their own businesses. The college entrance exam turmoil from back then had become an old story that couldn't be casually brought up. But after a few rounds of drinks, someone still let it slip. Classmate A. Do you still remember Sue 1? She got married a while ago. Someone exclaimed in surprise. So early. Classmate A. Yeah. She married an ordinary man. I heard her married life has been really bad. She cries every day. Classmate B. What about Gay? Classmate A. Goo. I heard he's still looking for a job, and no good job wants him. Classmate C. Is he still in touch with Swan 1? Classmate A. They broke up long ago. 'Cause mother hates Sue. Rue 1 to death. Everyone sighed a few times, and quickly moved on to other topics. I lowered my head to drink water, feeling no ripples in my heart. Whether they are doing well or not is no longer the focus of my life. When the gathering ended, the homeroom teacher walked me to the door. He looked at me and smiled. Lintang, you're in a good state now. I said, Is that so? He smiled and said, Yes. Before you were always tense, as if ready to carry the weight of everyone at any moment. Now it's different. I smiled. Too. Maybe I've come to terms with things. The homeroom teacher asked. Come to terms with what? I said. Not everyone is worth saving. The homeroom teacher paused for a moment, then nodded. That's true. That night, when I got home, I received a call from an unknown number. I didn't want to answer at first, but that number called 3 times in a row. I still answered it, and Gui's voice came through the phone lower than a few years ago, and more tired. Lintang. It's me. I didn't say anything. He seemed afraid I would hang up, and quickly said, I don't mean anything else. I just heard you were back, and wanted to ask how you're doing. I said, Very good. He was silent for a moment. That's good. Then it was very quiet on the phone after a long while. He said, I've been dreaming of the words you said all these years. Dreamed of the rooftop. Dreamed of you falling off. But I clearly never experienced it. I said calmly, That SS retribution. His breath caught. I continued, Gay. Stop calling me. It's been over between us for a long time. 17 this time. He didn't insist. He said softly, I'm sorry. I hung up the phone and blocked the number. Then I opened the window, and the night breeze blew in. The living room light was warm. My dad was washing fruit in the kitchen, and my mom was watching a TV drama on the sofa. They're still here, and so am I. That's enough. In my past life, I believed too much in what I should do. I was the top of my grade, so I should stay calm. I was Gui's childhood friend, so I should remind him. I am the most rational person in the class, so I should step up to save everyone. But no one told me that saving others also depends on whether they are worth it. They treated my clarity as a tool, and my kindness as an obligation. When trouble came, they turned the knife back on me. In this life, I only did one thing. I gave the choice back to them. If Swan 1 wants to pretend to be sick, then let her go to the hospital. If Gay wants to be a hero, then let him stay. If the students want to take the exam, then let them enter the examination hall. Everyone reclaims their own choices and bears their own consequences. This is very fair. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My brother is a compulsive liar. He deliberately broke his cousin's outrageously expensive figurine, but claimed it was an accident. I raised my hand and slapped my brother. "If you lie again, I'll beat you to death," the younger brother cried. And mother got angry. She said, "My brother is only 5 years old, and I, as his sister, have such a cruel heart." But she doesn't know that, because my brother lied in our previous life, not a single one of our family members had a good ending. Given a second chance at life, I will no longer indulge him. Joe Yuma, do you know how much this fluffy figurine costs? And you just dropped it. This was brought back for me by my classmate, who went all the way to Japan. What are you crying for? Will crying solve anything? My cousin Xiaoming's entire body tensed up, veins bulging on his forehead as if he were about to hit someone the next second. My younger brother Ho Yima could only bury his little face in my mother's arms, wailing loudly. After all, he's only 5 years old. Fortunately, my aunt tightly held Xiaoming's back. With a forced smile on her face, she gently comforted him. "Momo, don't cry. Your cousin is just throwing a tantrum." My mother Chun Wen Lin nervously glanced at the scattered fragments of the figurines on the floor. She felt a bit awkward. "Ma, your brother is still too young. He must have touched it by accident. A 5-year-old child may not understand the value of things, but adults certainly do. Cry. You're the only one who knows how to cry. Right? It wasn't yours. And you just smashed it. Give me back my Luffy. Do you even know I spent a whole year's worth of New Year's money to buy it?" Auntie couldn't help but give Xiaoming a hard smack on the bottom. Her face already flushed with anger. "What's wrong with letting your brother have his way a little? Just as this bare child farce was about to end like this." I couldn't help but speak up. "Cousin, how much is this figurine? I'll pay you back." Xiaoming glared at Zhao Yuma with hatred, then stretched out 5 fingers towards me, spreading them wide. "All right, you said it. So Yudi, you said you'd pay me back 5,000, Ant's face flushed with anger. "Xiaoza, what nonsense are you talking? Your brother just made a mistake, and you're still not letting it go, are you?" She then turned to me and said, "Xiaodai, you don't need to pay for it. Don't worry." My mother was also shocked. She quickly grabbed my hand. "Xiaodai, where did you get the money to pay for your brother? Don't talk nonsense." The adults all thought I was joking. Only Xiaoming took it seriously. "It doesn't matter. I'm serious about paying for it. Aunt Mom, it was Zhao Yuma who broke my cousin's figurine. Just because we're relatives doesn't mean we should act like nothing happened. I still have last year's New Year's money, and I'll pay my cousin back as soon as I save up the rest." My mother was frantically pulling me aside, not allowing me to continue speaking. But I won't let her have her way. In my previous life, it was because of her favoritism toward boys and her indulgence that led Joe Yuma down the wrong path and completely changed our lives. In this life, I must not repeat the same mistakes. Teach this younger brother of mine well, study hard, and change the fate of both me and them. After some back and forth, my aunt and cousin both calmed down. Only my mother kept muttering to herself on the way back. "Hi, Yudi, I want to see how you're going to pay for this." They weren't even pursuing it anymore. "So why were you so eager to pay up? You're really going to be the death of me." Riding on a tricycle, feeling the cold evening breeze, I recalled many things from my past life. What did my mother do back then? The money wasn't compensated, but later, my aunt's family completely cut off contact with ours. They forgave Zhao Yuma on the surface, but deep down they labeled us as spineless and poor. Zhao Yuma's eyes were swollen all around. He was just scared earlier and didn't realize he had done anything wrong. I snatched the little train he was fiddling with from his hands and hurled it toward the edge of the field. The little train landed with a plop in the rice paddy, disappearing without a trace. "Sis, what are you doing? What are you doing?" He got angry, lunged at me, and tried to hit me. My mother's voice came from ahead, tinged with a hint of urgency. "Zoyudi, what are you doing? Don't bully Momo." I snorted coldly, grabbing Zhao Yuma's little arms and legs to stop him from squirming like a little mudfish. "Zhao Yuma, do you know how many toy trains the thing you Just broke could buy. Big sister tells you can buy 500 little trains. Surely Yuma was stunned, blinked her eyes, and large teardrops began to fall as she cried out, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I raised my hand and slapped him. Liar. I clearly saw you take the thing out and throw it on the ground. Try lying again and see if I don't beat you to death. His chubby little face was immediately marked with a bright red imprint. The child burst into loud wails in an instant, the noise piercing through the eardrums. He reached out trying to grab my face again. I held him down and said sternly, Move again, and I'll hit you again. The tricycle screeched to a sudden halt. My mother quickly got off the car, snatched Yuma from my arms, held him close, and patted his back. She then turned to glare at me angrily. Joyudi, have you lost your mind? Who allowed you to hit your brother? Chun Lin confined me to my room and forbade me from having dinner. I pressed against the window, gazing out at the blue sky and white clouds. Then I spotted that little rascal Zao Yuma below the window, sucking his fingers as he looked up at me. His big round eyes blinked and sparkled, but he just didn't dare come over. Ho Yuma, come open the door for your sister. He's not really bad. He's just been spoiled. Excessive indulgence made him lawless, which later led to a major disaster. In my previous life, Zhao Yuma never treated me, his sister, poorly. On the contrary, he was always willing to step up whenever I encountered any trouble. So in this life, I must start teaching him well from a young age. The little brat hesitated a bit, probably still scared from the beating I just gave him. I raised my eyebrows. Open the door, and I'll give you a lollipop later. After a while, the door was opened. Children's hearts are still quite innocent. I beckoned with my finger, and he came trotting over obediently, calling out, Sister. Sweetly, I patted his head and said, If you break something, you have to pay for it or others will look down on us. Ex-Yuma nodded obediently, looking as if he understood, but not quite. He is like a blank sheet of paper now. Whatever adults teach him, that's what gets drawn on the paper. One day, I will make sure a beautiful picture is drawn on this blank sheet of paper. Lin, how could you be so heartless as to make 2 children pick up trash on such a hot day? What were you thinking? My mother's face flashed, with a hint of unease as she smoothed her disheveled black hair. She bent down again to pick the tea leaves from the ground. It was Zhao Yudi's idea. I really don't know what to do with her. It's really not easy for you either. Honing died early, and you're a woman raising 2 children all by yourself. If you ask me, after she finishes middle school, just send her to a technical school. That way, she can even help support the family. I held Zao Yuma's hand with one hand and dragged a long string of plastic bottles with the other. Hearing this, I picked up one of the bottles in my hand and threw it toward the source of the voice. I shouted loudly, Even if my dad is dead, it's not your place to gossip about it. And what's more, I'm not going to a technical school. I'm going to college. In my previous life, that's exactly how it was. I went to technical school early, graduated early, and started earning money. Then I got married and lived a life of poverty. This time around, I absolutely refuse. The village chief's wife angrily said to my mother, Raised without a mother's guidance. Lin, look at your daughter. What kind of talk is this? Tell me, am I not doing this out of goodwill for your family? She not only doesn't appreciate it, but even scolds me. My mom has a gentle personality, so she immediately stopped what she was doing and bowed apologetically in a flustered manner. In the end, when we got home, she gave me a good spanking, turning my but into a blooming flower. As she whipped me, she kept muttering, Zhou Yudi, have you no sense of propriety? No matter what, Aunt Lee is still your elder. Didn't your teacher teach you anything? I think Aunt Lee is right. You've wasted your education. It would have been better if you hadn't studied at all. Mom, education is compulsory now. I want to study, and no one can stop me. There was one more sentence I kept to myself, unspoken. I not only want to study, but I also aim to attend top-tier universities like 985 and 211, and I want to read books at a higher level than anyone else. That day, I still took Sho Yuma out to scavenge for trash, Granny Wong from the village stopped me. She was wearing a single glove, which was already pitch black and filthy. At this moment, she was holding a sack in her hand. You're just a child. Why are you picking up trash? Go back and watch TV. I knew exactly what she meant. Grandma Wong, let's go pick up trash over there. Upon hearing this, Grandma Wong's face darkened, clearly displeased. You little one, why don't you listen to the grown-ups? If you go over there and pick them up, what will I have left to pick? If you don't listen, I'll go tell your mom. Shaima heard about telling my mom and thought about how I've been getting beaten a lot lately. He hugged my arm and hid behind me. Sister, let's go home. There was no one around at the moment, only endless ridges of fields. Grandma Wong, how about this? We're not very strong. So well, just pick up some plastic bottles. I did the math, and there are only about 30 or 40 plastic bottles a day. Would it be okay if I split half with you? Grandma Wong stared at me with her drooping eyes for a moment and agreed. You give me 20 bottles every day. I nodded. On the way back, Yuma was very puzzled and asked me why I wanted to give her 20 bottles. 20 bottles aren't worth much, and even picking up trash isn't worth much. But I want 5-year-old ex-Yuma to realize the money we earn from spending an hour or two picking up trash under the scorching sun. It's not easy at all. Every penny should not be wasted. After we collected garbage for a week, I used the first earnings to buy Zhao Yuma an identical little train. He sniffled, and his suntan face once again showed an expression on the verge of tears. But he held back, saying in a childish voice, Sister, I was wrong. Wrong about what? On the way back, the setting sun cast our long shadows. I held his hand and slowly walked towards home. I shouldn't have thrown my brother's things. And I also lied. Yes, knowing your mistake and being able to correct it makes you a good child. Besides buying the little train, I also bought a jar of hand cream for my mom. It had a blue lid and was from PCON. My mom has been doing farm work all year round. So, her hands, which should have been delicate and slender, are now covered in wrinkles, with cracks around the nails, looking as aged as an old woman's. When she held it in her hands, her face also wore an expression that seemed on the verge of tears. I'm annoyed and waved my hand. Mom, I know you're touched, but hold off on the emotion for now. If you're not picking tea tomorrow, could you take me and Zhao Yuma to Auntie's house? Auntie lives in the city, right in the central area, and my cousin attends the best middle school. Compared to them, my family really is the poor relatives. If it weren't for my aunt, considering how my dad had helped out in the past, the two families probably would have stopped interacting long ago. When we went, my mom bought a box of milk and some fruit to bring along. By then, my cousin had calmed down a lot and wasn't looking at us with murderous eyes anymore. I took ex-Yuma by the hand and walked up to him, patting Yuma's arm. The little kid timidly pulled a small note from his pocket and handed it to Zioenga with both hands. Brother, I broke your thing. I'm sorry. Xiaoming frowned as he took the note, and his aunt also gathered around. It was an IOU. It clearly stated that Yuma owed Xiaoming of 4,532 yuan, with all the details of time, place, and people included. At the very bottom, there was even Zhao Yuma's crooked signature. Sister-in-law, what are you doing? It's just a child. It's fine. Before my mother could speak, I said to my aunt, Auntie, a mistake is a mistake. Momo has already realized his mistake, and we will return the remaining money to my brother later. Xiaoming was still a bit embarrassed, scratching his head. Momo, I was too emotional at the time. I apologize to you. The adults seeing the situation nodded repeatedly, unconsciously smiling, and praised us as good children. Only my mother was still concerned about the remaining money, scolding me for causing unnecessary trouble, and saying I didn't understand anything in her limited experience. She had no idea how important connections were. My aunt and uncle were both teachers, and my cousin later became a doctor. In my previous life, my cousin could have used his connections to schedule my mother's surgery earlier, but in the end, the best treatment window was missed. It's hard to say that this isn't the consequence of a small incident from back then. Every cause has its effect. The seeds sown recently will bear fruit in the future. The summer vacation passed in a flash, and I'm about to start school. The school is in the town, and it takes about 30 minutes to get there by bicycle. On the first day of school, Zhao Yuma was even more upset than I was, clinging to my leg and crying so hard that tears and snot covered her face, gazing at the familiar classroom. I couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions. In my previous life, growing up in a single-parent family, with financial struggles, I was both insecure and sensitive. My school years were lonely, and as a result, I missed out on many friendships. Xiao Yudi, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and sit down. Class is about to start. Behind me, Mang Xiaoyu poked my waist, reminding me that class was about to start. The teacher came in, first scanned the room, and then dropped a bombshell. The school would provide financial aid to students from struggling families this semester, with limited spots available, and priority given to top performers. I think Xiao Yudi fits the criteria perfectly. Her family is so poor, with her grades, who would give her that aid? Listening to the classmates around me discussing, without any restraint, I pursed my lips. In my previous life, I didn't study hard at all, because I was too playful and had to take care of my younger brother. I also felt deeply ashamed of receiving this financial aid, and never even considered it. But now, I have been reborn, and these concerns about face are nothing compared to money. I must get the subsidy. After school, I took the initiative to invite Mang Xiaoyu to go home together. She and I are from the same village, and she is one of the few people who treats me with kindness. After driving along a stretch of road, we reached the vegetable fields. Ming Xiaoyu and I rode our bicycles, our school uniforms billowing in the wind. Xiaoyu, I want to apply for the subsidy. What about you? Mang Xiaoyu. But my grades aren't good, and I feel a bit embarrassed. It's okay. We'll work hard together. She was very beautiful. Always had been since childhood. But in a poor village, beauty was actually a sin. Just like now, when I returned home and saw the person following behind my mother, my face immediately darkened. It was Wang Guzi, the village's older bachelor. He's almost 60 this year, having been lazy and idle his whole life, living off his parents until they passed away. Only then did he reluctantly start doing some farm work. And even then, he was inconsistent and unreliable. Xiaoi, school's out. Wang Guzi was startled to see me standing silently behind them, with my backpack on, and he forced a smile from his ugly, deeply wrinkled face. I said bluntly, Uncle Wang, what are you doing at my house? Are you here for dinner? My mom didn't make any for you. Wang Guzi rubbed his hands together. Hey! What kind of talk is that from a kid? Really? My mom doesn't like him either, and she chases him away, with the dustpan in her hand, saying, Go back and eat your meal. Don't keep hanging around my house. He's ugly and cunning, his small eyes darting over us several times before he gives a sly grin, rubs his already bald head, and leaves as soon as he leaves. I say, seriously, Mom, remember to lock the door. When you're home alone, don't let people like him in. My mom waves the spatula, while laughing. You're just a kid. Why worry about so many things? She started coughing as soon as she finished speaking. This stove didn't have a range hood, and it got really smoky whenever she cooked. In my past life, her lung cancer might have been related to this as well. I need to remember to install a range hood, I silently noted to myself, since the second grade curriculum was really too simple. After finishing my homework, I would help my mom trim the loose threads from clothes at home. Most of the clothes produced in the factory come with many loose threads. Her current job is to trim these threads cleanly, making the clothes neat and tidy. The work isn't difficult, but it's hard on the eyes. Mom, starting tomorrow, bring more home, and I'll help you trim them. She gave me a light glare. That won't do. You still need to study. Didn't you say I should go to a technical school? Sure, I'll die. Last time you went to your aunt's house, your aunt pulled me aside and talked for a long time. She said you're a child, with your own ideas, and will definitely have a bright future. After I came back, I thought a lot about it. You still need to study. Follow in your aunt's footsteps. Only through studying can you find a way out. She sighed We suffered because we didn't get an education. Both came from impoverished families. As the eldest son, my father took on the family burden early and never attended school. My aunt, however, worked hard to study and eventually settled in the city. Such a simple truth. They are not unaware of it. They are just afraid that their investment will yield no return. Mom, I will definitely get into a good university. She smiled, her eyes filled with a hint of relief. Arche has grown up and become sensible. Starting from the first day of school, I actively participated in school activities while also helping my mother with tasks like sorting vegetables, sweeping the floor, doing laundry, and trimming thread ends. After school, life felt very fulfilling. Inspired by me, Jo Yuma would sometimes sit to the side, clumsily, waving a broom a couple of times. But soon, such peaceful days were shattered. I looked at Jo Chi and the others blocking the restroom entrance, narrowed my eyes, and asked, "What's so important that it has to be discussed in the restroom? Is what you're about to say so foul that it can't be said outside?" Shaki's face flushed red as she raised her right hand high. "Zhao Yudi, who gave you permission to talk to Chen Wei? Chen Wei is the class monitor of our class. He looks average, but he has good grades and is quite popular. If it were Zhao Yudi from the previous life, she would definitely have endured it. But I am no longer the person I used to be." I raised my hand and grabbed her wrist, slowly applying force as her face turned red with suffocation. I twisted her wrist down. "Zhao Qi, if you like staying in the bathroom, you can stay a bit longer. I'm going out." The strength in the hands of someone who works every day is vastly different from that of a pampered young lady like her. With that, I swaggered out behind me. The restroom door was kicked with force, producing a loud, crashing bang. The next day in class, as soon as I reached into the drawer of my desk, a damp, soft, elongated sensation traveled from the fingers to the brain. I screamed instantly, yanking my hand back. A black earthworm coiled around my finger, wriggling. People all around were unconsciously drawn to the commotion and looked over. Some of the more timid ones had already started gasping, but most people's shoulders were trembling. They're laughing, mocking my cowardice. The teacher slammed the chalkboard eraser heavily on the podium. "Who did this?" No one answered. The class must go on. After class, Teacher Wang called me to the office and said he would investigate the matter. I calmly said, "Teacher, it might just be a coincidence." On my way home, as I was riding down a street, I suddenly heard someone calling my name. I turned my head and saw Mang Xiaoyu, who was being held by two young men with dyed yellow hair. They were the local troublemakers in town. Manga's face was filled with helplessness, and she called out to me weakly twice more. I propped up my bike and stopped less than 50 m away from her. But I just watched her, quietly. "Little sister, come on, come play with us. Brother will take you to eat something delicious." Ming Xiaoyu shook her head like a rattledrum, using her other hand to cling to the cement wall. Refusing to leave, she kept looking at me on the verge of tears, shifting from hope to despair. About a minute or so later, I stepped onto the pedal, pushed hard, and charged straight toward those two thugs. They screamed like pigs being slaughtered, completely forgetting about dragging Mang Xiaoyu away, and just took off running. "Ming Xiaoyu, now you know how I felt the day before yesterday, right? So why did you stay silent back then?" Mang Xiaoyu covered her face and sobbed, feeling completely exposed under my questioning that day. She was also in the restroom and witnessed the entire incident. Silence encourages evil. Before class even started the next day, screams echoed throughout the classroom. "It SS earthworms. How disgusting." And I sat by the window, quietly, savoring their expressions of fear and terror, as if drinking in sweet rain. Zaoi stormed over to my desk. "Zhao Yudi, was it you who brought these earthworms here?" I looked up, with a smile. "Do you like them? I spent all last night digging them up, with my brother, just to give them to you. If you like it, I have more here." After saying that, I opened the iron box on the table, inside of which there were still a few wriggling earthworms. I picked up a plump one, with 2 fingers, and held it out in front of her, watching her face grow paler and paler. frowning as she tried her best to endure. My smile grew even wider. Zhao Qi are even more disgusting than an earthworm. From that day on, everyone in the class started to avoid me. No one spoke to me anymore, and no one formed groups, with me except for Mang Xiao. I told Mang Xiaoyu that heroes are always lonely. We don't need to force ourselves to fit into that group, just for the sake of empty recognition. It turned out I was right, because in the following 3 years of junior high school, Ming Xiaoyu and I consistently ranked at the top of our class, and later we directly got into the town's top high school in the senior high school entrance exam. I used the money rewarded by the school and the village to pay back Xiao Mang's as soon as possible. At this point, after several years of debt, Zhao Yuma and I finally managed to pay it off through our own efforts. During a chat, my aunt mentioned that their school now had the opportunity for internal housing purchases, and asked for my mother's thoughts. Buying a house, that must be expensive, right? You know, I don't have much money on hand. At that time, housing prices across the country had not yet started to rise. But I know that, within 2 years, whole country will see a massive wave of home buying. Now is the perfect time to buy a house. Seeing that my mother was still hesitating, I took a deep breath and said sincerely, "Aunt, I want to buy a house, and I'm willing to pay you back with interest when the time comes." This seemed to be within my aunt's expectations. Her face immediately lit up with a smile. Xiaowai has really made something of herself. How proud my brother would be if he could see her now. My mother sighed beside me. Buying a house is different from collecting figurines. It's not a small amount of money. Not only would we have to borrow money from my aunt, but also from the bank. The pressure is unimaginable. I'll think about it a bit more. After the middle school entrance exams, I didn't stay idle either. Together with Ming Xiaoyu, I took Xiao Yuma to the wholesale market and bought a batch of toys. We set up a stall in the town all day long to sell them. The items weren't expensive, and since they were toys for children, they sold quite well under my strict guidance. Xiao Yuma not only developed strong hands-on skills and a willingness to endure hardship, but also gained a good understanding of money, learning to rely on his own hands to earn it, already possessing a maturity far beyond that of his peers. Everyone was very pleased. In the end, my mother, persuaded by my lobbying, borrowed money from several relatives and friends in scattered amounts. We paid the full amount in one lump sum and bought a house in the town where we could install a range hood in the kitchen. My wallet is completely empty now. Her eyes were vacant as she leaned back in her chair, murmuring to herself, but the hand holding the property deed trembled slightly. I knew she was happy, too. On the eve of moving, we packed up at home until very late. Everything was packed and ready, just waiting for my aunt and uncle to come help us move tomorrow. In the middle of the night, a faint scattered noise suddenly came from the back door. I held my breath for a few more seconds. In the deep of night, even the slightest sound was amplified countless times. I clearly heard that an outsider had entered the house. A thief. The thief had a clear target and headed straight for my mother's room. Our village doesn't have many people, just some elderly, weak, sick, and disabled, but occasionally robbing some dried salted fish, and cured meat is still possible. It must be someone familiar. I tiptoed out of bed barefoot, pulled a wooden stick from under the bedboard, and silently opened the door to go out. That person was just about to turn the handle of my mom's door. I quickly stepped forward and shouted, "Mom!" As soon as the words left my mouth, I swung the stick with all my might and struck him on the neck. With a cry of pain, the lights in the living room also turned on. The door to my mom's room was also opened. She was wrapped in a blanket and shouted angrily, "Wangzi, it's you, you sneaky thief. What are you doing in my house?" I took the opportunity to strike him hard on the back several more times. With the stick. "Let that teach you to steal. I'll beat you to death." Finally, the village chief arrived, and the police came too. By the time the statement was taken, it was almost dawn. According to his confession, he originally intended to make one last big score at my house, but he didn't expect to fail. He had been accustomed to petty theft in the village, and the villagers had long suffered from his actions, but they had never managed to catch him. Now I have eliminated a hidden danger in the village. The village party secretary promised to write a letter of commendation for me, which will be mailed to no one middle school after the school term begins. Therefore, as soon as I entered school, I immediately became the teacher's favorite. I clearly knew that I had been reborn, not turned into a child prodigy. The intensity of high school was completely incomparable to that of junior high, so I also put in 120% effort. Into studying, I abandoned my past shyness and inferiority complex, and whenever I didn't understand something, I would discuss it with my classmates. Raise your hand and ask questions whenever you don't understand something, and dig deep until you get to the bottom of it. I didn't dare to relax even a little, because in this school, there was never a shortage of hardworking people. Of course, there were also some outliers. That day, after evening self-study ended, Yimingxuan propped one long leg on the ground and placed the other on the pedal of his bicycle. Blocking my way, he frowned impatiently and said, "Jayudi, can you give me a straight answer? Are we dating or not?" His friends around him were also egging him on, urging me to save face for him. Him. Yingxuan was at the bottom of our class, causing trouble during class and messing around after class, and the teachers were used to it, who told him to have a good father, relying on his status as the son of a school board member. He could fight, skip classes, and date without anyone interfering. Mang Xiaoyu instinctively shrank back. She was nervous. I lifted my eyes to look at him and sneered. Even a peacock knows to display its feathers. When courting, is this how you confess your feelings? Also, I'm sapiosexual. Do you understand what that means? It means your grades have to be in the top 10 of the entire school. He was a bit annoyed at first, but upon hearing the last sentence, his eyebrows relaxed, and his mouth curved into a grin. All right, you said it, sapiosexual. I nodded absent-mindedly. With his level of intelligence, he couldn't even make it into the top 100 in the whole school. This little episode was quickly forgotten by me. But soon, the teachers and classmates in the class noticed the change in Yimingxuan. He started attending classes and listening, and he would always raise his hand to ask some foolish questions. Everyone said he had changed his ways and become enlightened. Boys are just playful. If they get serious, they can be more driven than girls. Maybe that Yingxuan in your class really can catch up with the progress. My mother, wearing her reading glasses under the light I use for doing homework, muttered to herself while trimming loose threads. Zhao Yuma was also doing her homework stroke by stroke. Hearing this, she looked up and said earnestly, "Mom, no pain, no gain." Such a simple truth. Yet people choose to believe in a few exceptional cases. As summer vacation approached, classmates in the class began discussing tutoring arrangements. I went home and tried to talk to my mom. She let out a heavy sigh. "What compulsory education? Look at how much money I've spent on you." Even today, although she no longer calls me a money-losing burden, the deeply ingrained patriarchal mindset in her mind still occasionally surfaces to attack me. I lowered my head, wondering what to do. Borrow money from aunt, and them or from whom we've already borrowed from all the relatives around us, who would still be willing to lend us money. Besides, this tutoring isn't absolutely necessary. Forget it. I'll go ask your aunt and them for a little more money tomorrow. Chen Wanlin gave me a helpless smile, patted my head, and sighed. "I never knew you were so fond of reading before. You must study hard." Okay. In my past life, I truly didn't enjoy studying. Like the idle young people in the village, influenced by the elders' mindset, I thought, as a girl, what was the point of reading so much? It was enough to just get by, since I would eventually get married anyway. Once married, someone would take care of me, and living a stable life would be enough. But when my mother married me off to that impoverished family for a dowry of 10,000, I finally understood what stability truly meant. Endless household chores, meals that are never satisfactory, my husband's constant nitpicking, the cold stares from my in-laws, and asking for grocery money is no different from begging. All my self-respect was trampled underfoot. Is this what they call stability? What's more, there's a brother who can never be helped up. My mother repeatedly uses family ties to emotionally blackmail me. while Zhao Yuma is like a bottomless pit, draining everything I have. Zhao Yuma's countless promises made on his knees, and his self-esteem slapping were nothing but tactics to numb me. In the end, his debts from online gambling kept piling up. Too many to hide, too many to bear. The debt collectors came directly to my home. Several burly men barged in unreasonably, claiming to be civilized in their debt collection. Yet they wouldn't let us leave. They stared at us menacingly, refusing to leave until we came up with a solution. At that time, I was pregnant, being watched by a group of people all day. I was constantly on edge, and psychologically, I was nearing my breaking point. Finally, one afternoon, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. Zhao Yuma knelt and begged them to let me go to the hospital. Crying like a child, it took a full 10 minutes before they agreed. But my child was completely gone. One night I couldn't take it anymore and jumped from the 7th floor lying. Zhao Yuma has been lying all along. During my 3 years in high school, housing prices across the country doubled. Those who didn't buy were beating their chests in regret, while my mother repeatedly praised my wise decision at the time. Just before the college entrance exam scores were released, classmates in the class group were guessing their scores. Some were excited, others were frustrated. Ingguan sent me a private message. Zhao Yudi, if your score is lower than mine, then be my girlfriend. Okay. What a bold kid. Truly shameless. I don't know when he started targeting me, but in these 3 years, he has never once scored higher than me. I have no idea where he gets his confidence from. Sure, the scores were announced, but I only had my ranking, without the specific scores. So, I knew I was in a stable position. Many people anxiously asked me how I did on the exam. I simply replied, just average, performed as usual. Later, the admissions offices of both Tsinghua University and Ping University came to my home, offering generous conditions. My mom was so excited, she almost fainted, thanks to Zhao Yuma supporting her. She steadied herself and turned to ask for my opinion. I cleared my throat and said nonchalantly, well, Tsinghua, it is. After all, Tsinghua offered more than Ping University did. The next day, the class reunion was held at a farmhouse restaurant owned by Yuminga's family. As soon as he saw me, he circled around me anxiously, asking, Jo Yudi, forsake, tell me how many points you scored. I gave a forced smile, tilting my chin up, as I replied, higher than yours. He wasn't my type, never had been. When I was in college, my brother finally started middle school. Boys are at that mischievous age. And twice he didn't come home after school playing cards with classmates in the alley. He even lied, saying the teacher kept them late. As soon as I heard the news, I took leave and went home. I kicked him in the knee, and Zhao Yuma immediately fell to the ground. With a thud, I raised my hand and slapped him twice, with a sharp crack, shouting angrily, lying, keep lying, and I'll beat you to death. After all these years, this was the second time I had slapped him. The shadow left by the first slap still lingered in his heart. Even though he had grown much taller than me, his eyes were still vacant. He covered his face, hung his head, and remained silent, stubbornly refusing to apologize. My mother couldn't bear to watch any longer. She pulled me aside and whispered, let it go. A few lessons are enough. He's a boy, and his pride is strong. I raised my voice, my tone sharpening. A boy, Mom. Are boys naturally smarter, more prideful, and more resilient? Right. Girls are. Just a burden. A waste of money. They'll get married eventually anyway. So, just find a stable job after graduation. Is that right? Back then, the village chief's wife said, I had a mother who gave birth to me, but didn't raise me. What about her son? He had a mother who gave birth to him and raised him. And now he's in prison for fighting, eating the government's iron rice bowl. Ing Xuan in our class said if he scored higher than me, I'd have to be his girlfriend. Everyone said he's a boy, with drive. Now I'm at Tsinghua University, and he's at a 3rd-tier college, and even that was bought. Who gave him the courage to compare himself to me? Zhao Yuma could lie at the age of 5, and you never scolded him. Just let him be. If I don't discipline him, sooner or later, he'll end up just like them. My mother frowned. growing a bit anxious, and grabbed my arm. Shy. That's not what I meant. Actually, you've always been very well behaved. It's just that everyone says. I placed my hands on her shoulders and looked her straight in the eyes. Mom, just because everyone says it doesn't mean it's right. The wrinkles at the corners of her eyes deepened, and tears shimmered in her eyes. She wiped the corner of her eye. Actually, you've always been my pride. I hummed in agreement, feeling a ripple of emotion in my heart in my previous life. I had waited 30 years, without ever hearing those words. Zhao Yuma chimed in from the side. Sister has always been amazing. I glanced at him. The force from earlier was not light. His face was swollen and red, and he knelt on the ground, yet his back remained straight. I kicked him, but most of my anger had already dissipated. Will you lie again? No. I'll play openly from now on. I was so angry that I kicked him again. Fortunately, in the end, the kid obediently lowered his head and admitted his mistake, swearing to the heavens that he would never lie again. I came all the way back for such a trivial matter, which made my mother keep complaining that I was making a big fuss and wasting money. The travel expenses from Beijing back home aren't cheap, and she thought it was a waste. I smiled as I placed a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs into her bowl. Don't worry, someone will cover the bill. The old and the young asked in unison. Who? I blinked and teased. Yes, my mom asked. Your boyfriend? I shook my head. My brother asked. Girlfriend? I shook my head again, not intending to tease them any further, and smiled gently. She's my business partner in college, my classmates, and I successfully started a business using our scholarships and competition prize money. Although it's still in its early stages, the company is steadily moving in a positive direction. My mom was taken aback for a moment, then choked up, with emotion, tears welling up in her eyes. Honing, do you see this? Our daughter has made it. She's even more accomplished than you. And me. Do you see? They were all wrong. She's no less capable than any boy. Zhou Yuma, on the other hand, remained much calmer. She pulled out a few tissues and handed them to my mom, saying, Sis, you're amazing. I want to be like you someday. Sure, in my past life, I would never have imagined that I, too, could get into Tsinghua University through my own hard work. I never imagined that I would become the pride my mother speaks of. After all, back then, the words she often repeated were that I was a money loser, and that I should help my brother more in the future. It was as if I was born to be a tool. But I am not anyone's appendage. I am who I am. I am Zhao Yudi, the one and only Zhao Yudi in the world. I do not fear anyone's disdain or indifference, nor do I tolerate anyone's humiliation or belittlement at this very moment. Only that classic saying can summarize my current state. I was born a mountain, not a stream. I aspire to stand atop the peaks and look down upon the mediocre valleys. I was born a hero, not a weed. I stand on the shoulders of giants, looking down upon the humble cowards. I hope every girl can keep this in mind and engrave it in her blood. We are no different from them after hearing the second story above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see the Mid-Autumn Festival is approaching, and my mom is nagging me again. Daughter, are you still not pregnant? This is already your 19th man. How can there be a perfect seed in this world? If you don't give birth soon, it'll be too late. After hanging up the phone, I turned my gaze to my boyfriend beside me. Could it be him, the father of my future children? And my meal? My name is Tiffany, and I am a female praying mantis. Our kind are all great beauties. Big eyes, a heart-shaped face, a slender waist, and long legs. Men find her utterly irresistible. After thousands of years of evolution, we are now indistinguishable from humans in appearance. The only difference is that due to our unique physiological structure, we require several hours to complete mating. Additionally, to conceive the next generation, we must obtain sufficient nutrients from males compared to the girls in my clan. I am quite picky, and have always wanted to find the perfect man. He must be handsome, highly intelligent, over 185. I'm tall, and also a ruthless villain. After all, Killing innocent people indiscriminately will bring divine retribution. For this reason, I have been dating nonstop since adulthood, going from one man to another. There are handsome idols, athletic college guys, buff Western men, and top-tier academic elites, but by the time I turned 30, I still hadn't found one that satisfied me after hanging up the phone. I was feeling frustrated when my boyfriend Chandler sent me a message. "Babe, want to have dinner together tonight? I miss you." Chandler is my 19th. At 26 years old, she is a top student at the city's medical school and is currently interning at a top-tier hospital. We met on a dating website. On the day of our first meeting, we arranged to meet at a sauna. After watching the game, he confessed to me in the common room in the early hours of the morning. I asked him, "What do you like about me? I'm 4 years older than you. Love has nothing to do with age. I'm just afraid you'll think I'm too young." "All right, let's give it a try then." Just in time, my sister also wants to try what it's like to be with her brother. After saying that, I kissed him directly. His lips were very soft and pleasant to kiss. He had the refreshing scent of shower gel on him. After we confirmed our relationship, he treated me very well even though his internship was busy, and he had to juggle experiments and publishing papers. He insisted on meeting every week. Although his PhD stipend was very low, he was very generous with me and always rushed to pay the bill on every date. He is tall, handsome, intelligent, and perfect in every way. The only regret is that he seems to be a good person. Perhaps I should find an opportunity to break up with him. After all, my time is precious. My love should be shared with more men. In the evening, we returned to the hotel together after dinner. As soon as he stepped out of the bathroom, I lay naked in his arms, with my ample chest, long legs, and a delicate soft body. All my previous 18 boyfriends adored my physique, but Chandler was truly an exception. We spent the night outside over a dozen times, yet we've never slept together. Tonight was no different. He was clearly struggling to hold back, but still, with a flushed face, he helped tuck me in. At that moment, I couldn't hold back any longer. A man who won't let you sleep isn't even worth a dog's attention. I immediately got up, putting on my clothes, while saying coldly, "Let's break up. I'm tired." "Why?" "No, I don't want to break up." "Sister, what did I do wrong? Tell me, and I'll change. Please don't break up with me." "Okay." Chandler was terrified and quickly grabbed me from behind. I rolled my eyes and pushed him away forcefully. "You're my boyfriend, but you can't satisfy me. What's the point of being together like this? Besides, we're not even a good match in terms of age. I'm 30 this year, and my mom keeps pressuring me to get married. What about you? You're still a student and haven't graduated yet. I can't wait for you." With that, I put on my clothes and prepared to leave, but he held on to me tightly, pleading for me to stay. "Don't go. Don't leave me. I can marry you. The Mid-Autumn Festival is coming soon. Will you come home with me? After meeting my mom, we can get our marriage certificate." As he spoke, he kept kissing me until my whole body went weak. Despite Chandler's repeated pleas, I ultimately did not leave. After lingering for a while, he stopped at the final step. His heavy breathing fell on the side of my neck. He restrained his desire and said to me, "Be good, hold on a little longer. Let's wait until we get the marriage certificate. Then I'll satisfy you." Okay. So innocent. Tiffany, have been in the dating scene for so many years, and I never thought I'd meet someone this innocent today. Maybe, let's not have a child. It seems quite nice to have someone like this to grow old with. Thinking this way, I slowly drifted into a dream. I had a dream. In the dream, I gave birth to a beautiful daughter. She is snow white and adorable, with big eyes and long eyelashes. She looks exactly like I did when I was a child. I want to see who the child's father is. Turning my gaze, I see a man lying on the ground covered in blood. I held my breath and leaned in to get a closer look, but suddenly, I realized he had no head. I woke up instantly. It was 3 a.m. My eyes are extremely dry. We mantises have compound eyes, so to hide my identity, I usually wear colored contact lenses. When I go out, Last night I fell asleep in a daze and forgot to put in a new pair. I walked to the bathroom door and noticed the light was on inside. A figure was leaning in the corner of the bathroom, speaking quietly on the phone. Mom, this one is taken care of. I'll bring her back in a couple of days. Don't worry. She's 172 centimeters tall, weighs 60 kilograms, has perfect measurements, is in good health, and has no hereditary diseases. She's definitely a top-tier A-grade product. The clients will be very satisfied. It's Chandler, Indiana. The dim light. He seemed like a different person. In the darkness, I felt a little sad. So, the innocent college student. I thought he was turned out to be this kind of person. However, I soon got excited again. Isn't this the perfect prey I've been waiting for? Mom, our family will finally have an heir. We decided to set out the next day. Chandler is in a hurry to take me home. What a coincidence. So am I after all. I only heard bits and pieces last night and couldn't take action yet. Everything has to wait until his wrongdoing is confirmed. Chandler, you better not let your sister down. As the Mid-Autumn Festival approaches, the high-speed train tickets have long been sold out. Chandler suggested taking my car, saying that his hometown is in a mountainous area, so driving would be more convenient. After leaving the hotel, he accompanied me home to get my luggage. On the way there, he said casually, "Honey, could you not tell your family and friends for now? Let's wait until we get back." "Why not?" He sighed and explained anxiously, "I'm afraid they won't approve if they find out. After all, my family is very poor, and although being a doctor sounds honorable, the income isn't actually high. Being with me, you'll have to endure hardships." Even though I knew the excuse was false, I still smiled and agreed with him. "I'll do as you say for you. I'm willing to endure any hardship or exhaustion. All because I love you. I love you until death do us part." The journey went smoothly the whole way. I was responsible for driving, while Chandler, claiming to be carsick, sat in the back wearing a hat, mask, and sunglasses the entire time. I knew he was probably trying to avoid surveillance cameras along the way. Still, I deliberately asked him, "Isn't it stuffy wearing a mask the whole time? You don't look like you're going home. More like you're off to commit murder, arson, or traffic women." I hit the nail on the head, and Chandler was startled. He forced a smile and said, "I've gotten used to wearing it every day at the hospital. Are you tired? Should I take over the driving?" I quickly shook my head to decline. "Not tired at all. You work hard every day, so take a good rest while you can. After all, the good days of enjoying delicious food are just around the corner," and I still need him to conserve his energy. After driving for more than 10 hours, we finally arrived the next morning. The Chandler family is located in a small village in a central province. After getting off the national highway, it still takes dozens of minutes of driving to get into the mountains. The entire journey was full of forks in the road, and the navigation kept making mistakes. Without a local guide, it would be very difficult for outsiders to find this place. As soon as we reached the village entrance, our car was surrounded by a group of people. Among them were the elderly, children, and even infants. There are also men who, despite their ordinary attire, carry the latest model of Apple iPhone. Only women are absent. This shouldn't be the case. Typically in impoverished rural areas like this, the most common are the elderly followed by women. With children, most men go out to work to support their families. There is a problem with this village. I remembered Chandler's phone call that night. He said I was a top-tier imitation, and they said the sponsors would definitely be satisfied. So, who are the sponsors? These seemingly simple men outside the car, who are actually drooling over me. The car struggled to move through the crowd. I pretended to feel uneasy and asked, "Why are they all looking at me? It feels a bit strange. Should we just go stay at a hotel in the county instead?" Chandler glanced at the people outside and patted my hand to reassure me. "Don't be afraid. The folks in our village are just very warm-hearted. They probably heard I brought my girlfriend back, so they all want to see you." As he spoke, he rolled down the window and called out to the crowd, "Uncles and brothers, please make way. You're scaring my wife. Old Ba, tell your wife to take off her sunglasses and let us have a look. Yeah, Your wife has a great figure. She looks like she'd be good at bearing children. Beautiful lady. Have you had a boyfriend before? Old boy's really something. After all, no wonder he's the smartest in our village. The men outside the window were smoking, their lurid eyes constantly darting over me. Vulgar language makes me very uncomfortable. However, Chandler didn't seem to find anything wrong with it. He laughed and said, "What's the rush? In a couple of days, I'll let you all have a good look." After chatting for a while longer, the crowd finally made way. The car twisted and turned through the roads before finally arriving at Chandler's house. Contrary to what I had imagined, his home was a 3-story Western-style house, which didn't seem as poor as he had described. There are 3 people in Chandler's family. His father passed away early, and his mother single-handedly raised him through hardship. The other is his cousin named Judy. He is a relative of the family, and was adopted by them since childhood. "Hello, Auntie." "Hello, little sister." I handed over the gift and greeted them confidently. "You must be Tiffany, right? Oh my, I didn't expect you to be even more beautiful in person. Come on, let's eat first. You must be exhausted from the journey." Maybe it was my imagination, but compared to Chandler's mother's warmth, Judy was quite cold toward me. It seems she doesn't really like me, her future sister-in-law. After the meal, Chandler's mother took me upstairs to rest. She opened a south-facing room and introduced, with a smile, "This is Judy's room. You'll sleep here tonight. Our rule here is that the bride and groom can't sleep in the same room before the wedding. By the way, take off your clothes quickly. Auntie had a tailor make a few dresses for you. See if they fit, and if not, I'll have them altered." Why on earth would she ask me to take off my clothes in front of her? Unless she wants to examine my body to see if it's as perfect as Chandler said. However, I don't mind it either. Taking off clothes is nothing for us mantises. So, under the gaze of Chandler's mother, I slowly removed all my clothes. I had just taken it off, and her eyes lit up. She came closer, examining my body from top to bottom, front to back, scrutinizing every detail, not even sparing the private parts. At that moment, I felt like a piece of fatty meat on a cutting board or a product in a display window. It was truly unbearable. After trying it on, she smiled and said, "These clothes fit you as if they were tailor-made." After saying that, she went downstairs and brought me a glass of milk. "You've had a long day. Drink this and get some rest early." I took it, hesitated for a few seconds, and finally, under her gaze, drank it all in one go. Not long after, I felt my eyelids grow heavy, extremely drowsy, and couldn't help but collapse onto the bed. Just before I completely passed out, I heard the sound of the door opening, and Chandler's familiar voice. "Mom, what do you think? I told you this one is top-notch." "Right. Indeed. It's really good. This is the best stuff you've brought back. I think we shouldn't sell this one. Let's keep it for breeding instead." "All right. I'll follow your lead. Let Judy keep watch, and we'll make the arrangements tonight." I don't know how much time had passed, but I felt as if something was blocking my mouth. My body felt heavy, too pressing down on me until I could hardly breathe. In my ears, there was the excited panting of a group of men along, with the foul smell of their breath. "Bob, hurry up. If you keep doling, old Bob will be back." "What's there to be afraid of?" Judy said the 2 of them went out. "They won't be back that soon." "Then you hurry up, too. The guys are still waiting." "Don't. Just focus on having fun by yourself." I never expected old BA to be this impressive, actually getting his hands on goods of this quality. The one at my place has given birth too many times, and is no longer useful. I was planning to buy this one, but he said he wouldn't sell it. What a shame. The panting grew louder. I quietly opened my eyes. I saw a man, with a fat head and big ears lying on top of me by the bedside. There were several others waiting in line. Just by their ugly looks, are they even worthy of being my child's father? No way. I pretended to scream in fear. Who are you?" "Chandler. Save me. Help." Seeing that I was awake, the men grew even more excited. "Don't be afraid. Just endure it. They all went through this. It's good that you're awake. It's more fun when you're conscious. Since you're awake, let's play together." Saying this, they closed in on me with leering smiles. "Okay, I dropped my disguise and gave them a charming smile. Then let's play together. The next second, I removed my colored contact lenses. With the compound eyes no longer covered, my vision instantly became clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside the house. There are 5 dying men. Outside the house, it's Judy, who secretly let them in. Perfect. Tonight is destined to be a pleasant night for hunting. I extend both hands. My fingers rapidly extend, instantly transforming into sharp side-like for limbs. Ah, this. What is this? A monster? I chuckle lightly. Not running yet. Looking to die. Several men were instantly scared out of their wits. They scrambled to pull up their pants and fled outside in extreme fear. People often unleash extraordinary potential. By the time I chased after them, they had already run into the back mountain. Come to think of it, aside from catching insects and wild animals in the mountains as a child, it's been a long time since I've experienced the thrill of hunting prey. It's really something to look forward to. At night, the mountain is pitch black. The huge bushes sway with the wind, looking like ghostly figures from a distance. But where are ghosts as frightening as humans? They run fast and hide well. Unfortunately, few prey can escape from us mantises in the darkness. Every move they make is completely exposed. Oh, found you. I giggled softly and patted the first man's back as he turned around. My blade-like hands effortlessly sliced through his neck. Blood gushed out, and his scream was stifled in his throat before it could even be uttered. Then the second, the third. The feeling of killing is truly wonderful. No wonder some of the sisters in the clan seek out males to mate with at such a young age. After killing all 5 men, I slowly wandered around and eventually found Judy in a cave. When she saw me, she trembled in fear, her face deathly pale as she kept backing away. But behind her was a stone wall. Where could she possibly hide? I stepped closer, giving her a faint smile. Sister, so you're here. I've been looking for you. By the moonlight. She saw the blood all over me. Instantly, she trembled even more violently. It has nothing to do with me. It was all him. I was forced to do it. Please let me go. I beg you. Please. All right. Tell me the village's secret, and I'll consider it. Otherwise, you'll die, just as horribly as they did. After I finished speaking, Judy slumped to the ground, her face ashen. Then she began to speak. The night wind blew, carrying the heavy scent of blood through the air. And from Judy's words, I learned everything that was even more terrifying than the smell of blood had. Just burn the dirty clothes. When Chandler and his mother returned, they were a bit surprised to see me. After all, a large amount of sleeping pills had been put in that milk. However, these common medications don't have much effect on me. Chandler asked, "It's so late. Why aren't you asleep yet?" I had a nightmare and woke up scared. Chandler's mother looked behind me. "Where's Judy?" I was worried you'd be scared alone, so I specifically asked her to sleep with you. I shook my head. I don't know. I'm the only one in the room. Chandler's mother suddenly flew into a rage. Has that wretched girl run away? I knew I shouldn't have left her alone. Run away? I asked, puzzled. Why would she run away? Isn't this her home? Oh, what I mean is she might have gone out to meet some man. You and Chandler go to sleep first. I'll go look for her. Chandler's mother's figure quickly disappeared into the night, but I knew she wouldn't be able to find it. The next day was the Mid-Autumn Festival. Judy didn't come back all night, and her phone was unreachable. However, the Chandler mother and son currently have no extra thoughts to spare for her, because today is a very important day for them. It is said that an esteemed guest will visit in the evening. Early in the morning, Chandler's mother was busy preparing the meal. I slept until noon. After waking up, Chandler handed me a chong some slit up to the thigh and asked me to change into it. I couldn't help but frown. Isn't this a bit too revealing? Be good. Just bear with it for now. I didn't tell my mom that we're not having kids. Afraid she wouldn't agree. Our relatives all believe that women with larger hips are better at bearing children. You should wear this to show off your figure a bit, so I can have something to report back. Hearing him say that, I didn't ask any further questions. The banquet was held in the evening. As night fell, the guests soon began to arrive one after another. However, Those who came were definitely not the so-called relatives he had mentioned. If I remember correctly, I think I've seen the first man on the news. He seems to be the CEO of a listed company. Following him, a couple in their 50s came in. Although dressed modestly, the woman was clearly carrying a limited edition designer bag. Later arrivals, both men and women, did not appear to be from the countryside. Soon, all the guests had arrived. They took their seats in the courtyard one by one under the warm hospitality of Chandler's mother. At the same time, Chandler also made his formal entrance, leading me by the hand. The two of us walked to the entrance, and I stood beside Chandler, listening as he introduced me to everyone. Everyone, welcome from afar. This is Tiffany, my girlfriend. From the moment I appeared, everyone's gaze was fixed on me. A pot-bellied man looked me up and down with a gloomy expression. Another old man, with white hair, stared intently at my exposed thighs. With a leerous gaze, several plump, noble women looked at me disdainfully, while glancing at my abdomen, their expressions agitated. Tiffany, 30 years old, 172 centimeters tall, 60 kilograms in weight, with measurements 34D, 22-38, in good health, no bad habits, and no hereditary diseases. I have already sent her medical report to all of you. She is absolutely top tier. So, the price is naturally slightly higher than before. Starting bid for the first child, 800,000 for a girl, 100,000 for a boy, with an additional 500,000 for twins. After he finished speaking, my expression changed. Chandler, what? What are you doing? They're not your relatives. Who are they really? Chandler said nothing, but his unfamiliar expression seemed to have already said it all. You lied to me. You actually lied to me. I was so scared that I burst into tears. Tears streamed down, and taking advantage of his distraction, I turned and ran. The dress was too tight, making it hard for me to take a step. After struggling to run a dozen meters, I secretly glanced back. Surprisingly, no one was chasing me. Chandler's mother was serving the food, and Chandler remained standing in the same spot. Some of the guests were chatting with the people next to them. Some even held wine glasses, watching me with great interest, as if observing a rabbit that had fallen into a trap, waiting to be sacrificed. I realized something was wrong, but it was already too late. My legs suddenly gave out, and I collapsed to the ground. At the same time, Chandler was closing in on me step by step. The face I once thought was innocent now looked so terrifying. I struggled to crawl forward, but he easily held me down. He leaned down and chuckled as if teasing a puppy. Darling, don't waste your energy. You can't escape. Chandler, please don't do this to me. Tears kept falling. I hoped he still had a shred of conscience left. Unfortunately, I was disappointed. He pulled me up, then firmly dragged me by the hand, and walked over to the others. Bosses, you can inspect the goods now. With that, he used all his strength and tore my chongum to shreds in front of everyone. I was suddenly left completely exposed. At that moment, I was no longer a living person, but an animal, a piece of merchandise. The old man, who had been leering at me the whole time, was the first to reach out and gently stroke my smooth leg. After touching it, he brought his hand to his nose and took a deep breath. With his eyes closed, he praised, "So fragrant, truly a top-tier item. I'll take this one. When can it be arranged?" Hearing this, the others were somewhat displeased and began to argue over it. "No, we want it. Too. I want to reserve a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. Chandler, I'll add another 5 million. The speaker was that couple. Rare goods are worth hoarding. The smile on Chandler's face grew even wider to hide his excitement. His hand on my waist squeezed tighter and tighter, hurting me. Any higher bids? 2 million once, 2 million twice. In the end, after a fierce bidding war, the old man from the beginning bought me. He paid 3 million to order a pair of twin boys. This also means that once I become pregnant with a girl, I will be forced to have an abortion. At this moment, I finally understood the so-called financial backers are actually a group of demons from hell. They view women as goods and human life as worthless, and Chandler is the executioner, Who wields the blade for them? After the dinner party, the crowd dispersed. Chandler's mother was tidying up downstairs, while Chandler carried me upstairs. His embrace was clearly as broad and warm as before. Yet, I only felt a chill run through my entire body. How ridiculous! I had once considered giving up everything for someone whose heart was utterly blackened. As he laid me on the bed, I finally couldn't hold back and asked him, "Why are you treating me like this? Didn't you say you loved me and wanted to marry me?" "Marry?" He seemed to have heard the biggest joke of all time. "Tiffany, it's come to this. Let's stop pretending. Do you really think I don't know anything?" I asked him. "No." "What?" "My identity. You're beautiful, have a great figure, and are wealthy. Why would you be interested in me?" "It's just because I'm good looking and have a PhD, which makes you look good. When you take me out, do you know why I've never made a move on you? Because only in this way can I trick you into my hands. You women are all the same. When you're young, you like mature ones, and when you get older, you prefer the young and innocent ones. If I didn't pretend to be innocent and devoted, how could I have lured you in? I bet you've slept with quite a few men, but I've also been with many women. It seems like we're actually quite a match." "I see." I laughed finally. "Confirm it with him one last time. So, you're not planning to let me go, are you?" Chandler reached out and gently stroked my face, but the words spoken were incredibly cruel. "Sweetheart, if you give the sugar daddy a pair of twins, I can make $3 million. That's $3 million. Do you know what the average salary of a chief physician is? This is an amount that I, Chandler, could never earn on my own in a lifetime. Moreover, after this baby is born, there will be the next one. Tell me what is more important than money. Don't blame me either. As long as you listen to me, I will treat you well, taking good care of you, with delicious food and drinks, as long as you are willing. We can even go back to how things were before. Is that so?" At this moment, I almost admire him. He pushed me into the fire, then came back to offer a sweet date. No wonder Judy is so devoted to him. After saying that, he picked up a syringe and slowly injected it into my stomach. "What did you give me? What do you think?" He smiled, staring at my lower abdomen with an expectant look. "I understand. It's an ovulation shot. He needs my follicles to mature as soon as possible so I can start bearing children for the clients right away." After disinfecting, he changed me into clean pajamas. I couldn't help but grab his arm and ask, "So, can I sleep now?" Chandler was taken aback. He looked at me in disbelief, a faint trace of guilt flickering in his eyes. "Tiffany, after all this, you still like me? You women are really strange." "Yes, he is my favorite boyfriend, and also the prey I carefully selected. If you don't let me sleep, how can we have a child?" Seeing that Chandler seemed to be softening, I was looking forward to it unexpectedly. A clamor of angry shouts suddenly came from downstairs. Soon, a group of people rushed up in a fury. The person who came looks familiar. They were all the villagers who surrounded us that day interrupted in the middle of a good thing. Chandler asked unhappily, "What's the matter?" "I already said this seat isn't for sale." "Old Ba, there's something wrong with this woman." The leading man spoke anxiously. "Bob and the others secretly came to see her last night, but they never returned. His mother has been searching for them all day and couldn't find them. No outsiders have come to the village in the past couple of days. It must have been this woman. Who did it?" After he finished speaking, Chandler's expression changed. The man, who had just pretended to be gentle, vanished without a trace. He stared at me coldly. "Tiffany, is what he said true? Did Bob and the others come to see you last night?" The spot where I got the injection in my stomach felt swollen. We mantises are usually born as multiples. I wonder if getting this shot will make me have even more. The thought of having to raise a bunch of kids all at once is driving me crazy. I shook my head and played dumb with them. "I don't understand what you're talking about. Afraid they might take me away." Chandler's mother quickly chimed in to support me. "Yes, she's so delicate. How could she possibly be a match for Bob? And the others? Are you sure you haven't made a mistake? Maybe he just went to the county to find a woman." Hearing this, everyone hesitated for a moment, It seemed like we were about to get away. With it, Chandler's face suddenly darkened. He grabbed a knife, pressed it against my neck, his eyes fierce. No, Judy is missing. Too. Tell me, where did you take them? As he finished speaking, everyone glared at me with hostility. Hand over the person now, or we'll kill you on the spot. Hand them over. Sigh. It seems there's no hiding it anymore. Fine. Let them die. With a clear understanding. Don't kill me. I know where they are. I'll take you there. Chandler tied my hands and escorted me toward the back mountain to prevent me from having any tricks up my sleeve. The others followed behind halfway up the mountain. Chandler asked, "Where is everyone? What's the rush? Help me take out my colored contacts. I can't see very clearly." As he did so, my vision became clear. I looked around under the moonlight. Countless branches and plants swayed gently, rustling softly, but I know it's not the wind. It's my kind, hidden in the shadows. Before coming here, I thought I could handle it alone, but I never expected that the entire village would actually be filthy. After seeing those people at the village entrance yesterday, I secretly sent a message to my mom, telling her to quickly bring our clan over. After all, every single one of these evil people in the village deserves to die. With them, our sisters won't have to search the world for food anymore. I continued to lead them forward, without showing any emotion. We had only taken a few steps, when suddenly a scream came from the end of the line. "What's wrong? What happened?" "Third Master. Don't scare me." Everyone was so frightened that they stopped in their tracks. They turned on their flashlights and shone them around. At that moment, their scalps tingled with fear. In the darkness, they saw countless giant mantises silently watching them. Their bodies were 10 feet tall. A pair of sides gleamed with a sharp light. "What is that?" Some people were already frozen in fear. A bolder one took a few steps forward, wanting to get a closer look. However, as soon as he moved his feet, a hole was instantly pierced through his chest. Ah! Excruciating pain struck. Blood gushed out. He stared in horror at his own chest. Before he could even process what was happening, he was pinned beneath a giant mantis, his clothes torn to shreds. Crushed alongside him were other men. These were men who had humiliated one woman after another. Tonight they got what they deserved. Amid the men's screams, the joyful laughter of the sisters echoed through the woods. Tiffany is so thoughtful, knowing to let her sisters in on such a good thing. Oh, it's been so long since we've had men. Save a couple more for me. What's the rush? There's more. Look at you. So rude. Can't you be a bit gentler? Laughter, cries, moans, and screams echoed through the mountains, startling flocks of birds into flight. Chandler stood frozen in place, terrified by the scene of sensuality and bloodshed before him. After a long moment, he finally remembered to run. I had only taken a few steps. When I caught up, my upper body still retained a human form, but my belly was swollen and large. My forelimbs and all 4 limbs were also exposed. It looks like something human, but not quite. Something demonic, but not entirely. His expression was as if he had seen a ghost. He barely managed to open his mouth, trembling as he asked me, "Tiffany, what on earth are you?" I smiled faintly, tilting my head to look at him. "Dear Chandler, don't you recognize me? I'm the mantis. Don't you study us? When you dissect lab mice in the lab? In the natural world, we're quite famous, too." "Mantis," Chandler murmured. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and in an instant, cold sweat broke out, his face turning as pale as paper. "Remembered. Thanks to you, we already give birth to many in one litter. You just gave me an ovulation shot again. What should we do now? Your sugar daddy is too old. He definitely can't handle it. How about you take his place? How does that sound? After all, you are my boyfriend." After saying that, I leaned down, held him in place, and slowly removed his clothes. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I never expected it to be under such circumstances. I have experienced the joys of love, but this time it seemed different from before. Perhaps it was because my mother and sisters were all there. Maybe it's because we were in the wild. Maybe it's because I have mixed feelings about Chandler. Indiana. Any case, I experienced a joy I had never felt before. No one knew how much time had passed. Maybe it was 3 hours or perhaps even longer. When the men around gradually fell silent, Chandler's pupils began to dilate. His clothes were torn to shreds, and his body was covered in wounds. This man I once liked, whom I thought was clean and pure, had finally become tainted, or perhaps he was already tainted long ago after it was all over. A warmth seemed to gather in my lower abdomen. I knew I was pregnant, and the father of the child would soon be dead. Just before he took his last breath, I leaned close to his ear and whispered, "My farewell. Chandler, don't worry. I'll raise our child well. Of course, they'll never know you existed, because you don't deserve it." I climbed off him and looked up at the sky. It was the Mid-Autumn Festival, and the moonlight was bright, large, and round, hanging in the sky like a snowskin mooncake. It should have been a day for family reunions, but unfortunately, some people will never see their families again. Last night, Judy told me everything about the village here. All the people in White Family Village are devils. Because of poverty, the men couldn't marry wives, so they resorted to buying them. Once they had wives and children, they started plotting new schemes. After all, the women were all bought. With money, having one child is the same as having 10. Might as well have more so they can be sold for money. Judy was Chandler's first love, and the first woman he tricked into coming back. With him, Chandler sold her to a man in his 70s in the village. Later, the old man died. Judy tried to run away several times, but was caught and brought back each time after a severe beating. Someone suggested simply killing her. Chandler said that since he was the one who brought her back, he would handle the matter. He took her back home to serve Chandler's mother. Occasionally, he would give her some sweet talk, telling her he would marry her once he had earned enough money. Gradually, she stopped trying to run away and stayed with the Zhao family. However, the darkness had no end. When Chandler was not at home, other men in the village often came to harass her in the middle of the night. Chandler's mother turned a blind eye to this. Anyway, such a woman could never become her daughter-in-law in this lifetime. Yesterday, after Bob and the others saw me, they developed wicked intentions. Seeing Chandler and his mother leave, he forced Judy to open the door and kept watch at the entrance. Judy was too scared from the beatings to disobey. As for the surrogacy matter, it began after Chandler started studying medicine. An underground organization approached him. They are responsible for finding buyers. White Family Village is responsible for finding surrogate mothers long before me. He had already brought back many girls. Some were sold. Yes, whereabouts unknown. Such a person truly deserves to die. At the break of dawn, we finally disposed of all the bodies under the cover of the forest. The tribe's people quietly left, just as they had come. I lie on the mountaintop quietly watching the sunrise. It's a new day again. The morning glow is like fire, and white clouds rise at my feet. Who would have thought? Such a beautiful village, yet it conceals so much darkness. Daughter, it's time to go. Mother patted my shoulder. If that girl you let go of had listened and gone to the police, they should be arriving soon. As her words fell, the sound of sirens echoed at the foot of the mountain. Dust flew as countless vehicles headed toward White Family Village there. Finally here, I wonder how many women are still alive, and those wealthy backers, with their influence, will they really be caught? I had no idea, but right now I don't have the strength to take action anymore. I have to give birth to the child first. We returned to our clan a few months later. I gave birth to triplets. All 3 are girls. 2 look like me, and 1 looks a lot like Chandler. Just as I expected, they are intelligent and beautiful, the most outstanding in the entire clan. 3 years later, I handed them over to my mother and returned to the city once again. There was no other way. Compared to the males of my clan, I still prefer humans. After all, they are much more interesting. Drawing from my past experiences, I wrote a few short stories and became a well-known mystery writer. That day, at the book signing event, a young and handsome male fan suddenly confessed his feelings to me. He said he admired me and had been a fan for a long time. Looking at his youthful and handsome face, I was reminded of some past memories. I smiled and asked him, "Thank you for your affection. But I'm 10 years older than you. Does that not bother you? I don't mind. In that case, let's give it a try. Come to think of it, it's been a long time since I've been in a relationship. My daughters also said they want a little sister. Perhaps their wish will soon come true after hearing the story above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you like the story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.